It's Monday on Daily Delivery. Michael Rand here, Patrick Reusse with me as usual. We'll talk a little Wolves today, Patrick, probably some other stuff, but it's no surprise what we're going to start with. Man, 14 and 2. If this was a 16-game season, this would be over, and we'd be saying, man, we still are, but they beat the Packers yesterday. Got a little dicier at the end, but it wasn't still. They were still the better team for vast majority of the day. Now the home field's right there in front of them. If they can beat Detroit next week, like what? How did this happen?
I have no idea. It's got me thinking about the most surprising seasons in Minnesota's sports history, and
Yeah,
this is one of them. I mean, it's whether they're over and under on expected victories was 6.5 or 7. This is twice as many
yes,
as they were expected to win. It's incredible, and they really dominated the thing for 3.5 quarters. I never thought they were in trouble, even when they got within, you know, what enough to
within two, yeah,
20, yes, yeah,
27-25.
27-20. When they cut the lead down, they got those last two touchdowns. They still, they did have to make a play, I guess. And somebody could have kicked a 50-yard field goal and beat them, but I never thought they really dominated them for 3.5 quarters.
Yes.
And that was Darnold was terrific, and the defense had them stifled there for a long time. And I don't know, it's just amazing how good they've been. That was my first attendance since Kirk Cousins threw under
Yeah.
the sticks. So
Wow.
it was I was back in the building, and I must say, for $1.2 billion, the corridors are just as horse bleep as the corridors were at the $52 million Metronome. Let me say that. I went down to find Blake Cashman's
Right.
family, and coming back, honest to God, to go two-thirds of the way around the stadium took me 30 minutes
Oh, geez.
fighting with these crowds. Because the idiots, when you come in the doors, you take a left, people take a left. They have all these stands put up out in the hallways to
Yep.
make some extra
Yep.
money, and you can't go anywhere. It's anyway. But beyond that, people seem to have a good time, and it's a phenomenal season. And it is funny, Kevin. Our coach, man, he's not like giving him. He has learned his lesson watching what his team did to other teams. You can't give a team a chance to. You can't pin a team back and
No.
give them more than two plays. Give them time for more than two
No.
plays. Otherwise, they're going to kick a 56-yard field goal and beat you. So you gotta clinch the game. You can't expect your defense to even hold for 40 seconds anymore. So he did that, and Darnold, I thought, one interception, but I thought he was terrific
He
yesterday
was.
because there
Yep.
was a lot of pressure. They were around him. The first half, they were really around him a lot, and he still made the throws. And I don't know. I always say stick to your plan, stick to J.J. McCarthy, but I'm wavering here. I'm
Oh.
wavering. It's only 27, and I think that. I think Craig wrote this week, and that's what I think they're going to end up franchising him,
They
don't
might.
you?
Yeah, they might. Yeah, Andrew and I talked about that last week too. Andrew Kramer. I think it's possible. I mean, it kind of
Mhm.
kicks the can down the road a year, gives you a chance to
Yeah.
see if he can do it again, or gives you some leverage
And
in
it,
a
it,
in a trade if you end up sticking with
yes.
McCarthy. So,
And it takes you, it, it, there goes your cap money, but
but
that
just
you
for a
would,
year,
you had
you're
to
not
spend,
committing
but
long
only
term.
for a year. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's just not long term, but you're not going to, I'm not sure they have that many things they have to get done, do they? There's no way they're going to have a free agent year like they had this year with a whole new set of linebackers and the moves they made this year at half price from really good
Right.
players was phenomenal. I mean, the linebackers Van Ginkel, Grenard, and
Oh yeah.
Cashman are
Oh yeah.
all new. They just brought
Yeah.
them in, and it's phenomenal. And they got guys playing on that defensive line you never heard of, and yeah, it's just a unbelievable 14-2, and it's likable crew of people, I
Yes.
guess. Too. Nobody's mad at anybody. Nobody's complaining at anybody. My only complaint is I hope Cam Bynum doesn't have any more turnovers in his favor because I can't stand to watch these skits in the end zone. But anyway, that's just me. So I hear people are complaining because they didn't have it on TV. They
Right. They
cut
cut
away
away
from it.
yesterday. Yeah.
Yeah, probably not intentionally, but
No, I wouldn't think so.
that was. I saw some people on
I
Twitter
did too.
complaining
Yeah.
they want to watch that nonsense. Anyway, yeah, it's probably, I don't know. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to make a list here actually right now of most surprising. I think it's the most surprising Viking season
It's
of
up.
all
Yeah.
time.
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
even
mean, 68, they had made the playoffs. So now 69 was pretty shocking because
for the Super Bowl. Yeah.
We didn't know if Joe Cap could play or not.
Yeah.
But you knew they had a great defense.
Yeah.
You knew they had a great defense. So, I think this is probably more surprising. And honest to God, when you look where the NFC is compared to the AFC, the AFC stinks. I mean, they got the Chiefs, but that's not the
Chiefs and the
good
Bills, but
Chiefs
yeah.
team. Chiefs and the Bills. But I mean, if you can be they should. Detroit's still banged up
Yeah.
defensively. I wonder if Campbell is going to just pack it in tonight
They
and
could.
let his guy rest and everything. But he's such. Kevin Seifert and I were talking about this, and
Yeah.
we both agree that he's too big of a, let's chew some nails,
Right.
idiot to do that. He's gonna try to win, even though it does them no good. They still have to beat the Vikings on Sunday. I would imagine we've already moved that to a night game, huh?
Yes, that got moved last night. I think
Oh,
might be a 6 o'clock start though, unless that's just the broadcast time. But that was the time they flashed last night after the end of the
if they
Commanders
flash it,
Falcons
that
game.
means at least at 6:30 at the earliest, though, doesn't
Yeah, I don't know if that was a start time or if that was just a
it?
broadcast start time, but yeah.
Yeah, there was very little chance it wasn't going to get
No.
flexed after that. So
Right.
anyway,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's I don't know what to say beyond. I'm as shocked as the next guy. That
Oh
now
gosh.
I was not pessimistic. Okay,
Yeah.
I was saying when the season started, I thought 9, 10 wins maybe they got a chance to make the playoffs. And I didn't know much about Darnold, but I thought that you know he he hadn't been horrible the last place he played. So so I thought that it was nonsense to say 6.5 was their over and under. But man alive, it's phenomenal. It's you go in there and you now expect them to win.
Yeah.
You expect them to win every time they play, which is incredible.
Well, I think the beginning of the year, you looked at it and you had there was like a list of like seven ifs, and it was like if all of these seven things, they might be pretty good. If the defense can be a top five or top 10 defense with all these new guys, if they can stay healthy, if Darnold is any good, if Aaron Jones gives them what they need in the running game and can stay healthy, and like all those things more or less have come to
Yes.
fruition. It's just one of it that's what makes it such a surprise. Like you never
And
imagine that all those things all come together at the same time.
And you lost Darisaw, but beyond that,
Yes.
has been pretty dang healthy.
Yeah.
So
And
they're probably healthier than any team in the league right now, except
yes.
for what is he the only important player they lost?
The only
Darisaw
the
probably
only one they lost, I mean, well, obviously they lost McCarthy at the start of the year, but that hasn't proven to be,
not a
something
problem.
that's a problem for, competition this year. And they've lost guys for like various lengths of time, but not for the season.
Cashman missed 3 games, but
Cashman, Ivan Pace.
yeah,
They've missed Jones for a little bit, Gilmore, but like all of them were kind of like soft tissue 2 to 4 game kind of things, not season-ending type stuff. So I don't know. It's just I don't know. I think that at some point, like remember like a month ago when they were when they were beating the AFC South teams, but it wasn't very impressive, and they were still
Yes.
winning. And it's like, okay, oh yeah, now they're 7-2, now they're 8-2. Well, now they're
Yeah.
14-2.
14-2.
Now
They
they just
won
do
nine in a
they
row.
just they
Nine.
just
You
beat
don't have many
Seattle,
you
beat
don't
Green
have many
Bay.
9-game winning streaks in the NFL by anybody. The
No,
Chiefs put that one together this year, but more defensively than anything. But yeah, it's phenomenal. No doubt about it. There's nobody who's had more fun agitating the Vikings and their fans than me for the last 50 years. But man alive, it's hard not to be overly impressed with
no,
this thing.
yes, no, it is, and I'm glad when you started at the beginning of this segment, you said horse bleep instead of the real word, because I wouldn't want you to get
Get
fined
fined,
a hundred
no,
thousand dollars by the NBA
100,000.
or the
Yes,
podcast
I
police.
wouldn't want. I wouldn't want that to happen either. But yeah, I don't know. It's a happy collection of fans right now,
Well,
man. You got nothing to complain about.
you beat Detroit. You're two home wins away from going to the Super Bowl. They haven't had the
That's
number
right.
one seed since '98. For as many good years as they have not had the one seed since '98. So I don't know. The kicker hitting a couple of posts yesterday didn't help people's nerves. But other than that, I think everybody's pretty happy. I would say
Yeah,
not much to
yeah,
complain
it
about.
is. And considering you're doing it in a year with the NFC North being mighty, now the
Yeah,
Bears are
Bears are the
incredible
opposite story.
story,
But but
uh,
yeah, this isn't two
yeah.
years ago when they had the North sewn up by November, and
Mhm.
they themselves were a fluke. In 2022, they're a good team. They're a very good team this year. I don't think they're the best team in the NFL, but man,
It
they
might
are.
be. It might be.
They're one of them. They're one of them. They've shown us they're one of them. Yeah, I think.
Well, I wrote a couple of weeks ago. They have been perfect in their movements in what
Hmm.
they've done to do
Hmm.
this team, and I'm not. I wasn't BSing. I
Yeah.
don't think they made any mistakes as far as putting this. As
No.
far as the decisions they made,
No.
they haven't made any mistakes.
No.
So it's phenomenal. You
No.
could say that.
I think they're going to have to pony up to pay the coach and the GM this offseason.
Yes, yeah. Let's. It's funny. When I wrote that column, these people were still ripping Adolfo Mensa. They were still crazy. They were still down on crazy because
Because of
he
his first
hasn't
draft.
drafted well.
Yeah.
Who cares? Everybody has a lousy draft, and this year, you know, you I like the whole theory of trying to get difference-making
Yeah.
players, and
Right.
if it costs you half your draft choices, who cares? This
Yeah.
Dallas Turner is going to be a monster before
Well,
he's finished.
he's starting to come on too. He's had a couple sacks and interception
Yeah.
in the last few weeks. A fresh young pass rusher this
Yes.
time of year is probably fairly rare. Everybody else has
I bet,
got
I bet, I
thousand
bet,
pass rush snaps, and he's sitting on a couple
I,
hundred.
I bet Kirk Cousins they wish that
Oh.
Atlanta had done that, and drafted him eighth instead of the quarterback. So,
Uh yeah. Look, their quarterback was okay last night. I wasn't blown away by him. So the Penix, when they lost to Washington, did everything they could to give away that game last night. They gave Atlanta a late touchdown and then gave them the ball back and then had a pass interference call right at the end. But Atlanta missed a long field goal short. That's three field goals that I've seen short now. What the Seahawks tried one.
really, what are they doing? They're taking a little air out of the
I
ball,
don't. Well, I mean, I think
stop people
well,
making 90-yard field
I
goals.
don't know. I think it's just teams thinking they can just make it from any distance now because they're
Yes.
so used to it. Like the Seattle kicker missed one from 60 last week against the
Yeah, right.
Vikings. Reichard was hit the crossbar from 57 yesterday. This Atlanta kicker was short from 56, which 56 used to be like no way. Like 40. I remember when 47 was a long field goal, and now that's like
Oh, God,
automatic.
yes.
But
Yeah.
56, it feels like kickers make that like 60 or 70% of the time now. But he was short with it, so I'm just amazed. I'm very surprised now anytime I see a short kick. But that was a short one, and then Washington won in overtime. So Atlanta kind of gasping for air. I think if Tampa Bay
If
wins
Tampa
next week,
win, and
Tampa's
I
in.
think they got a walkover too. I think they're
Yeah,
look at the schedule. They got somebody easy. I think so.
yeah,
To Carolina or somebody like that.
yeah. So that
I
was
don't
the
know.
this
So
was
it's
Atlanta's chance yesterday, and they blew it. But
I don't know. Was Kirky? Did they show Kirky on the sidelines
I
at
didn't
all?
see
Was
him.
standing
No, I
there?
didn't
They
see
didn't.
him.
They didn't focus. They didn't put the camera on him every
A
time Penix did something bad or anything.
lot of competing leaked stories now. That's the best part about this. It's going to get bitter. I saw the Bleacher Report
Oh,
story
I
this
didn't
week.
see it.
I think it was from a podcast, a Bleacher Report podcast, saying basically anybody inside the building in Atlanta will tell you that Cousins just physically can't play anymore. It's like, okay,
Really?
that's a little harsh. And then
Well, considering that in the middle of the season he had 5 touchdown passes and
yes,
500 yards.
yeah.
What happened? What
I don't
happened?
know. Well,
You
right
know?
before he hit this terrible rut, he had two other great games against like the
Yeah,
Cowboys and the Bucks. He like 7
yeah.
touchdowns and no interceptions, and then all of a sudden he just fell off a cliff. I don't know. I don't know. That's the biggest one the Vikings got right this year, though,
Oh,
by all stretches. Getting rid of
yes, and as I keep saying, they did a wonderful job of making the Kirkies think they would have taken him back if they could only
right,
get him on a
right,
1 year deal or something. So
right.
they had no intentions of letting him back in the
I don't think
building,
so.
for God's
No,
sake. So
no,
anyway,
no.
yeah, but it'll be fun seeing them in Detroit
Yeah.
because they'll score points against
Oh
Detroit.
gosh.
It'll be a
Yeah.
question of if the defense can hold
Yep.
Detroit down, but that'll be a that'll be a game you don't know who's going to win with 3 minutes to go. I got
No.
a hunch. So
Should be.
yeah,
Should be. It's
I will
been
be
a
interested to see, you know, somebody explained to Campbell. Listen, you don't have to play your regulars. The Bears will still figure out a way to screw it up. So don't. The Bears managed to fire the worst clock manager in history and hire a worse one the other
right.
day. Your fourth, did you watch that game Monday night at all? It was Monday.
Mm-mm.
When was it? Sunday night. Was it Sunday night? I don't know when it was. I'm watching that game. And your fourth, no, wait, it was Christmas week, so those games were all
It
over
was
the
all over
place.
the place. Yeah.
Yeah. So your fourth down, you got a half a yard to go, and you decide to go up, waste all the clock trying to get them to jump off sides, and then your guy false
I
starts, and
saw
you're
that. Yeah.
4th and 6.
Right.
So then you gotta come back and go for it. God, they're idiots.
Yeah.
They're morons. It's unbelievable. It's the stupidest team I've ever seen.
I
So
know.
anyway,
Shame on me for thinking they might be good this year because I looked at them and I was like, oh man, like they're putting
but
together a pretty good
that
team here. They got all these offensive playmakers to go with that defense.
that
No.
quarterback ought to call up Rogers and say he wants to go down there and smoke that
Oh,
hallucinogenic with him in Costa Rica for a couple of months and get away from these morons. Have you watched the Rogers
oh boy. No,
documentary
I
yet?
haven't watched the documentary yet. I should have. I plan to.
Yeah,
I was thought you were going to say, have I watched? Did I watch him go down 40-0 to Buffalo before getting pulled yesterday? That was
is
fun
that what
too.
the score was? I didn't watch
It
that,
was.
but
I think
he
the final
was
was 40-14. But yeah,
very interesting documentary. Even though he obviously, as I said,
right.
in
I
the
saw you wrote that.
top,
Yeah,
he obviously had control over because we got no mentions of Olivia Wilde
right. Olivia
or
Munn.
or Danica. Olivia Munn, excuse me, or Danica or Shailene Woodley, or even Blue. His other girlfriend, Blue, the one who introduced him to whatever that ayahuasca or
Ayahuasca. Yeah, I think that's how
ayahuasca
it's pronounced.
is. How come the NBA? How come the NFL lets them smoke? They probably let you smoke marijuana now again. So to
I don't know where we are in the drug policy right now, but I think they've definitely
well, marijuana
relaxed
is
their
legal
stance.
most places.
Yeah,
So
right. I think
uh,
when it became decriminalized, a lot of places it became harder to enforce that sort of
remember
thing
when
on a
that
drug
was a
test.
scandal?
Oh gosh, yeah,
Warren Sapp didn't get drafted
right.
because he tested positive for
Well, even
marijuana.
like was recently as like what Laramie Tunzel drafted like
Yes.
6 or 7 years ago. It was a
Oh,
scandal.
he looked a little bad with the
Well,
entire mask on
right.
his head,
That's true. That's
so
true,
he
but
could get
still,
in. He
that's
could get
true.
in You could
Right.
get in a whole, uh, you know,
Right.
environment
Right.
of marijuana. But
Right. But still, like
yeah, right.
everything's changed about that.
Oh,
So
things
yeah, I don't
change.
know. I don't know why. Maybe they just maybe
Everything's changed
ayahuasca is
about everything. Anyway, we love our
yes.
Vikings, and you
Yes.
mentioned to me earlier, though, college bowl games.
Uh-huh.
We were talking about. Talk about some unethical idiots that
Hmm.
are playing football. Now, we go to the NFL now for class, for people who really care
Yes.
about their teams,
Yes.
who follow training rules.
Yeah.
These college scumbags are the guy from Cam Ward.
Cam Ward, yeah.
Miami quits in the middle of the game as soon as he sets a record so he won't get hurt. Their problem is they're listening to all these agents,
Oh yeah.
and but he's doing it for the draft. But the other guys are doing it, you know. Okay, I think I'm going to start Bob instead of you for this nothing bowl game.
Yeah.
Okay, I transfer and I'm leaving.
Right.
What are they going to do with the transfer portal? And if they're still going to have these 40 idiotic bowl games,
Right.
what are they going to? How are they going to move the portal? I guess they want to give them an opportunity to enroll for the winter
Right.
semester, right, or for the
Right.
spring semester.
Yeah.
But you know, well, the but then again, I don't feel sorry for teams
No, I don't feel sorry for anybody.
when they're going to these lousy bowl games
Right.
anyway. Who gives a damn about
Yeah.
them? But ESPN's the only one who cares, so they
Yeah.
can get a 1.2 share for some idiot bowl game. But it is. We have seen the true nature of college athletes in this whole thing. It's
Yes. Oh yeah.
you know it's incredible. Actually, I got to give PJ credit. His team's been fairly loyal. He only
Yeah.
lost 6 or 7 of them, and I think only about 2 of them they wanted to keep. Right, so.
Yeah. Well, and you see this modern era. This isn't football, but it drove another coach out. You saw Lara Naga from.
Naga said
He's
no.
like, never mind,
I
never
know.
mind,
Well, I
can't do it
got beat.
anymore.
I got beat by Mount St. Mary's.
Yep.
You know, and that where he used to coach or
I can't
someplace. But
remember, but
anyway, he coached it. But he said, yeah. I mean, he he took her to the Final Four and 8 guys left.
yeah, he said basically like I'm tired of someone saying, well, we can bring you back for $1.1 million. He's like,
Yeah.
what are we doing here? And like
Yeah.
again, like athletes making money off of $1 billion enterprise, no problem with that. But how they got here so fast, it
Now,
has
plus,
completely changed and corrupted the game. It's just
oh yes,
not. It's
plus
there's
college
nothing.
basketball. There's 352
Yes.
teams. There's not that. There's not like that many with
No.
money.
No. Like
Miami University doesn't care about basketball. They're not
no.
paying you $1 million for
Oh,
goodness sakes.
and like poor Ben Johnson. I mean,
Yeah.
geez, there. I know we got a big win this weekend, but
Oh,
over who they beat
Morgan
this week?
State
Morgan
last
State.
yesterday.
Is that who it was? I can't
I,
remember who
th-
it was,
I,
but
th- I think they only announced 5,000 some too,
mm,
which means they're getting a little closer to being honest. But you're going up against a Viking game for Morgan State. You're probably not going to pack the place. But
right.
anyway. Yeah, I mean he could have had a good club. He could have
Yes.
been. They would have been an NCAA too. Six of them who could play left. It's
Yes.
he's
Like the
got
really good ones too.
yeah. That's I mean it's what are you going to do? I don't know.
I
Somebody
don't know.
else is going to come in here. Nico Medved's going to somebody like that's going to get the job, and he's going to bring him in, and he'll maybe you can finish 8-12 in the Big Ten or whatever it is. So.
Yeah.
It's
It's a
it's
mess. It's just a
it's a
mess.
mess.
It's a mess.
It's a mess, and it makes you. My interest in college sports is way down from what it used to
No,
be
me too.
anyway. But it's now down to pretty much zero because there's no. You don't know what your team's going to be
No.
next year.
No. Nope.
Ryan Day is getting. Ryan Day was getting heat at Ohio State
Yes.
because he lost to Michigan.
Yes.
Now he's in the national quarterfinals, but he isn't doing well enough in the portal. They
Everybody's
haven't
mad at
spent
him.
they
Everybody's
haven't
mad at him
spent
for
enough
going.
Yeah.
What's his career record? I looked it up the other day. It's like
Well,
66 and 12, I think.
he's lost one Big Ten game that wasn't to Michigan,
Right.
I think, in his
Yes.
history there, I heard. So yeah, they're complaining about him. It's unbelievable. And I think that's what you call a spoiled fan base,
Oh,
isn't it?
geez. Yeah. His career record is, yeah, it's absurd. I'm just looking it up right now. 67 and 10.
Yeah.
67 and 10 head coaching record, and that's not good
And
enough.
I like them to beat Oregon too this weekend. So
Yeah.
or next whenever those games are, I can't
Yeah.
tell. New Year's Day, right?
Yeah,
New Year's,
it's all over the map. All I care
well,
about is the
the first round produced four
not
lousy
so
first
good.
round games. I
Yeah,
hope it's a little better this time.
I do
So
too. And this
not be that I'll be fixated on it,
well,
but
you're saving your energy for the Duke's Mayo Bowl. I know you are.
that's right. That's right. I want to see PJ covered in mayo and mayonnaise, but isn't I saw Virginia Tech like 15 guys left,
Yeah.
16, 17 guys. He should run our proud winning streak
You got a
to
big bowl winning streak. Yeah, isn't it like 10
yeah,
games right now?
five.
9
Yeah, well, you
games?
know, yeah, two before he got here, so
Yeah, he's
six or
won like
seven
six, I
or eight
think.
or
Yeah, six or
something. Yeah.
seven. Yeah, he's won a lot. So
I, but yeah, did you see that the tradition rich quick lane has
it
got some other name now?
does.
And
I
in
know.
Detroit, it had some very hard like
Was it the
Pete's the
was it the Bad Boy
takeout,
Motors? The
or
bad
was
no,
that the bad? Or that
I
might
don't
be
know.
the bad boy. Yeah, the Pop Tart was my
Oh, the
favorite
Pop
new
Tart's
one
best.
though.
The
The Pop
sacrifice of the
Tart
Pop
best.
Tarts. I mean, at least have some fun with it. At least make fun of the whole enterprise and create
Yes.
something bizarre out of it. That's fun.
Watch your dreams and savings grow with Royal Credit Union's 4.25% annual percentage yield 12-month certificate. Open now at any Royal office or online at rcu.org/certificate saver. Early withdrawal penalties could reduce earnings and principal. APY accurate as of 2/1/25. Insured by NCUA.
Speaking of bizarre,
Mm-hmm.
the Fighting Wolves win
Yeah.
last night.
Yep.
Despite their best effort,
Oh yeah.
despite Ant's best efforts, he missed his. I looked it up. He missed his last six shots.
Ugh.
And but DiVincenzo is
He was
starting
great.
to make shots,
Yeah.
and Julius Randle had his two best games back to back before. I mean, he wasn't
He was
great
okay
last
last
night,
night, but yeah.
but the other two on a road, he had 13 assists or something in
Yeah.
two games, and
Yeah.
got a bunch of points and made shots.
Yeah.
He made 60% of his shots. So
Yeah.
I didn't see those games, but he must have been moving the ball better. So.
Yes. Well, and Ant hit the hero shot the other day when they stole that one against Houston, but
Yeah, they're
we
down 16, right?
16 with 5 minutes left, and they
Yeah,
come
yeah.
storming back and win by one. We love Ant here so much that I think people have been afraid to say this year, but I don't think he's been all that good this year.
No, he
I
hasn't.
think he keeps talking about there's nowhere to drive the ball, there's nowhere to go. You know what? I don't hear other superstars saying that. I hear them taking it to the rim and getting it done. I've not been impressed with him this year. I know his stats are
No.
fine. He shot the ball well early in the season. His three
Yeah,
pointers have been better.
yeah.
He was 1 for 9 last night. I just don't think he's been that good this year. He's been, to me, the biggest disappointment this year.
I think you're right. Especially since the what a
Last 10
month,
or 15
first
games.
three
Yeah.
weeks. The first 3 weeks he was okay.
He was
So
shooting the lights out, but that
yeah,
was it.
but yeah, I watched him and he was bombing those threes, and I don't think he's a great shooter. And I had this deep thought in my back of my head is he's not going to keep making these,
No.
and he's changing his game to just become a 3-point shooter. Well, now last night he missed two or three layups too down the stretch. I mean, contested layups, but
Yeah.
yeah, he's not playing great. That's for sure. And they did start playing Randall more with the second team, right?
Yes.
So he and DiVincenzo playing together more
Yep.
often, which I think is a good idea. And who's kind of lost with the whole deal with Randall and stuff, though? Nas, don't you think? Nas is not.
Yeah. He was okay
Nas,
last night. I think,
yeah, he's okay, but he's not Nas from last
yeah,
year.
they don't have their mojo or flow, even though they've been winning a little bit more lately. They're flawed, right? They don't fit
Yeah.
together right.
Well,
Conley's been Conley
Conley is
is
that's
he's
their problem. That's their biggest problem. He was the glue. Not the biggest problem, but the biggest change is
they just
he's not. He's no longer he's a liability now instead
yeah
of
you
an asset. I mean, he was the glue last year, and now
yeah
you'd rather have
you'd rather have Nah
nah
on the
on the
they had to
court. And the
and the,
trouble is, they can't. The kid they drafted, they can't play him
he's
because
too yeah, he's not ready.
he runs around like an idiot, dribbling all over the
Well,
place. And that's
he
why we should have gotten D'Lo, man.
oh
D'Lo was
geez, no
available.
thanks, no thanks. The Lakers finally gave up on him. So they had to
Yeah,
give him. They shipped him to what the Nets back to his. He's already been
yeah,
there, so he was on.
yes,
This is the second team that he's been on twice.
yeah.
That's not usually a good sign in your career that you've
Hey,
bounced around enough.
the one thing they're doing is they're finally giving Minot a couple of minutes, and he
Yes,
can shoot.
yeah, he
You,
can
you
play.
need shooters. You need scorers. So
Yeah,
he's 6'8" too.
right.
I'd rather if you need points, I'd rather have him on a court than McDaniels. So
Oh geez,
I,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what. Yeah, they're doing. They're winning. What are they won?
Well,
Five
they're
out of
three in
seven.
a row. Say 17 and
7
14 now after what
They're
they.
not.
Yeah,
They're not great, but they're. And you're right. If Ant keeps playing, maybe Ant's depressed because every time he says "dang it," they find him.
right.
You can't keep stealing a guy's money.
Just for saying
What is
words.
worth
These are just words. They're just words.
$100,000 for
Right.
saying dropping an F
Jeez.
bomb?
You know how much in the
My
hole? You know
God,
how much
I'd
I'd
have
be in
to
the hole
sell
if
my
I.
house.
Yeah, I'd
I'd have to
have
sell my house if they were
me
finding
too.
it $50.
Right, right,
So,
right.
what the hell? I mean, it's ridiculous. Where's the union?
Yeah,
You can't let them get away with
yeah.
this.
With and the excuse is that it was on live television. Well,
So
that's
what?
not his. That's not his fault. That's do a 7 second delay. Do a dump button if you're so worried about this. I don't know. I think
Yes.
that is
Well, but
ridiculous.
they've also fined him for just his locker room interviews that
Yeah,
aren't on live television when it
right.
comes out. So it's I don't know what is a profanity? What is it?
I don't know.
Do we have a
Where do we draw the
standards of?
line? I don't know.
Do we have this
Is it like the George
this
Carlin test? Is it? I
this
don't know.
yeah right yeah right. I don't know. It's he should file a lawsuit against the league.
Yeah,
The union probably just gave the commissioner complete power, but who we offending?
I don't know.
You're
Whose
not
delicate sensibilities are we
yeah,
offending?
go to an NBA game. You got a hip crowd there. They don't
Yeah.
care.
You said,
Hey,
by the way, yeah. Oh, go ahead.
listen. Judd. I rode to the game with Judd yesterday, and,
Hmm.
and we're working. We're leaving at the same time. We're walking like 2, 3 blocks, and these 23, 24-year-old girls, women,
Yeah.
they're leaving the game. They're dropping more F bombs than
Yeah.
the guys are.
Yes.
The young ladies have learned how to swear now.
Yes. Oh,
So,
geez.
and,
Yes.
and now we got Ants. Ant's supposed to not that he grew up talking like that when
Yes.
in his
Everybody did.
neighborhood.
Everybody
It's
did.
just ridiculous.
Well, and
So
you sit courtside at an NBA game, you're going to hear that about 50 times a game too. Like
yes,
it's just,
yes, you
it's
might
trash
even
talk.
hear it
It's,
in a chant. You know,
yes. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't get it, but
they,
yeah, they're
they
okay.
should instead of fining him, they should say, "Hey, could you tone it down a little
Yeah.
bit?" Yeah,
Yeah.
but
I don't know.
I don't know. We're
I got,
offended.
I got to think that team has got another move in them before the deadline if they want to compete this year, though. I think they need some.
I need another guard.
They need another point guard. Yeah, because Conley, the problem with Conley now is you got to take him off the floor at the end of the game for defense too, because he's just not quick enough to guard. They had to do that against Dallas. You can't. I mean, not many people can guard Kyrie, but if you got anybody quick on the perimeter, he's just not. He's not able to stay in front of him, and if he's not making shots and running the offense like he used to, he's a liability a lot of times. That's just that happens at a certain age. I guess as they say, Cousins, right? Cousins fell off a map at a certain point, and sometimes it just
Yeah.
happens. You lose the last 10% you needed to stay relevant, and
We'll
there you
always
are.
be happy with Mike Conley because
Oh, geez.
he got us to get rid of D'Angelo. So
Mm-hmm.
he got D'Lo out of here. I mean, I make
Yeah,
joke about bringing him back, but
that
that
was
turned the
great.
team or
It
that turned
turned.
the franchise around for a
Yes,
while.
he
So
was great for a season and a half, but it's just not happening this year. Maybe he'll find another gear and he'll be a little bit better the rest of the year. But he's not been good this year.
the NBA is, I find it extremely interesting, though, now because I mean, there's some real dogs. There's
Mm-hmm.
3 or 4 or 5 dogs, but it's
Mm-hmm.
not like it used to be.
Oh yeah.
There's, you got, you got 20 teams that can come in there and beat you, and
Yeah.
it used to be 6, when you were good. Now if you don't show up, you're going to get beat.
Yeah.
And this team is all the problems. The fact is, they're not a good shooting team. That's their
No,
problem.
they're not. What
That's their problem.
they shot 11 of 44, I think, from 3-point range last
Yeah.
night, and Dante made 5 of those. So I think Randall and Ant were a combined 0 for 6 or 1 for 16 from 3-point range, and they still won.
Ooh.
They still
Randall
won
should
that
not
game.
be shooting threes.
Not at
Randall
that
should not.
volume. He could shoot 3 or
No.
4 a game, but he should not
Yeah,
be
if he
shooting
wants
7.
to, if they let him, he shouldn't be forcing it up. So
No.
he probably got a little giddy because he had 2 good games in a
Right.
row.
Right. And they still managed to win. So I don't know. I don't know what they're up to yet. Maybe they're just going to be kind of up and down this season, and maybe they can make a move that helps them be a little bit better. I don't know. You got to worry about the Wild a little bit too with Kaprizov hurt. They've been fading
Yeah,
a
but
little bit here.
they're still like second in the league or something.
They're like
Second,
yeah, like the
third in
fifth
the
or
league.
sixth. They're still pretty good, but they're I don't know. I'm worried about a slow fade this season because I think they've been pretty
But
significantly overachieving this year.
But let's face it, deep in our hearts, we don't give a dang about anything but the Vikings being 14 and
That's
2
true.
going to
It's
Detroit
absolutely true. It's
and being
100%
a
true.
month away from
100%.
being 6 weeks away from our first Super Bowl
Oh my
championship.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
That's,
Yeah, that's all anybody
that's
can
all
care
it
about.
really
When the
matters.
Vikings are good, that
Yeah.
dominates the fall. Nobody cares about anything else.
They win Sunday night. They're home for the whole,
Yeah, 2 home games away from a Super Bowl
they don't
appearance.
have to they don't have to go anywhere.
No.
And it's and here's the good news.
Mm-hmm.
We thought Will Reichert was Im, perfect, right?
Yeah,
We thought he was
infallible.
perfect. He's missed some field goals now, so
Yep.
we don't have to worry
No, got it out of his
about
system.
having a 38-yarder to
Yep.
clinch the championship game and have it go left.
Nope.
So we don't have it by 1
Nope.
inch.
Yep.
So he's already had his misses. He'll kick it downtown from 52, and the Vikings are going to the Super
There you
Bowl.
go.
Let me predict it from right
There you
here.
go. Okay.
Beat beat those. Who are we going to beat? Who are we going to beat? It might be the Rams. I'm sneaky.
Yeah,
Rams are
they're pretty good.
sneaky.
They're pretty
Rams are
good.
sneaky. Might be the Rams beating O'Connell beating his
Yeah,
mentor
there you
in
go.
the
There's a storyline.
title game with
and
a late field goal.
and avenging one of
You
their 2 losses this year.
Yes, you heard it here first.
There you
ladies.
go.
All right.
All right, sir. Well, appreciate it. Go enjoy the rest of 2024 as best you can, and we'll talk again next week.
Yeah, I haven't enjoyed New Year's Eve for 43 years. So
That's true.
last cocktail. So all right.
All right, sir. Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye.